Hello.
Sparkly hands. It's a Hollywood episode with Steve and Meg. Sorry.
My.
Oh yeah, baby. We're back. Back in the New York groove. Dun, dun, dun. I can actually use our URL now. We have a URL now, people. We're real.
We are.
So Meg, how's your day going?
It's been a busy work day. I am just, finishing up work, and now I'm here and I'm ready to talk about Hollywood.
Mag, what do you know about Hollywood? Like, what's your relationship with?
What is my relationship to Hollywood? Well, it's not the same as yours, but when I was younger, I really loved Shirley Temple movies. Little Princess was my favorite. So I did a lot of I'm such a nerd. So of course I'd go to the library and have to read about Shirley Temple. I would, Judy Garland, and just the history of film was super interested in. But I grew up so into pop culture. I think a lot of millennials, it's hard to keep up with pop culture now because it's so much. But, we watched the Paris Hilton and the Britney Spears and Brittany Murphy, all of these stars that we grew up with, we see them go through so much. And so now Hayden Panettiere, it seemed like she was trying to make her comeback. She just had that interview with, who was it with? I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
But
it's weird. Oh, go ahead.
But yeah, it's really sad because it just feels like it doesn't, now we have social media and people are exploiting their children on social media. There's no Coogan laws around social media. I feel like this is a conversation that comes up, but I don't know. These are casualties of greed, and children are, So anyways, you get into your relationship to Hollywood.
No, yeah, that is the casualties of greed is good. I like that. That would have been a good title if we came up with a title. Casualties of greed. Yeah, I worked in television, and I saw a lot of I worked with a lot of people who had been working in TV or around TV for many, many years. And one of the things that we had to do, there are a lot of protections on sets for child actors, and luckily I was fortunate that I didn't witness anything. I didn't witness any stage parents being irresponsible or abusive, but those protections typically end once you're offset. And 90% of what happens if you're a rising child star is, you're on set for one day and then you're going to auditions for 10 days. And that means that you're only as protected as your parents let you be. So you're only really a function of how healthy your environment is with your parents. And so I think that's why we see a lot of these people. And I also met a lot of people who told me, I've met a lot of former child stars who had very healthy, adjusted lives. And I've met a lot of who didn't. And I met somebody who once told me that you stop growing up the year you become famous. It's kind of like what they say in AA meetings, which is you don't, you kind of stop maturing when you start drinking. And then you go to the program and you get sober and then you start maturing again. But it's an incredibly complicated relationship with especially America and capitalism, because, you talk to your favorite MAGA parent and they're like, oh, I love The Wizard of Oz. And then you tell them about Judy Garland and what they did to her. And how she was exploited, and Marilyn Monroe and all these other actresses, and then they don't really like discussing that though, do they? It's always very, it's a huge blind spot of capitalism, aesthetics, the asceticism, and oh, it looked good and it sounded good, it must have felt good because it makes me feel good, but all of that happens at the expense of somebody. And just being a comedian and having worked on sets at a low level, there are a lot of people behind that are in positions where it's easy to be exploited. All kinds. There's all kinds of ways to be exploited. So without bringing too much of like personal experience into it, there are a lot of protections for child labor in in acting. One of the reasons that we have the Screen Actors Guild, which I'm a member of, is because of Shirley Temple and Judy Garland and what they went through with the studio system. So yeah, we're definitely coming at this from two different angles, but we always come at everything from two different angles. That's why there's two of us. So can you tell me? But I don't really know that much about Judy Garland. So can you tell me?
Well, first
Not
let's
Judy
talk
Garland,
about what
Shirley
happened
Temple.
with Hayden Panettiere. Can we talk about what
Yes,
happened
I
with
don't know
Hayden
anything
Panettiere
about that
first?
either.
Okay,
Yes.
so she was found unresponsive at a residence in Greenville, South Carolina on Sunday and was pronounced dead. Her ex-boyfriend and his brother were there. Her ex-boyfriend, this is sad from so many angles. I was just reading about how she had a restraining order against her ex-boyfriend. There were multiple domestic violence incidences. And in recent interviews, she talked about how hard it was to leave him as soon as she would feel free. He'd like wiggle his way back in. Her friends were really concerned. I have to double check on when the restraining order ended. I believe it was recently, but her friends were really worried that she was hanging out with him again. She has a history of addiction, as many young stars unfortunately do. And that ex-boyfriend was there and his brother was there. They called 911 and they tried advanced life support unsuccessfully, and she died. Manner of death is still pending, but what we do know about her, story is she has been a child actor since she was 11 months old. She was in Remember the Titans. She was in Nashville Heroes, the Scream franchise. Her younger brother died in 2023 at age 28 of an enlarged heart. And just this May, she published a memoir, This Is Me, A Reckoning, about growing up in the spotlight. So she had just really started to come out with her version of events and her story. And now she's another casualty of Hollywood. And I think it's really important to, it breaks my heart because we see these young stars go through really hard times and the media is like brutal to them. Like they can't do anything. Even thinking about when she was in Heroes, she was a teenager and she was dating Milo Ventim. Milo Ventim? He was 10 years older than her. He was an adult. Like so many instances where like
he was dating
like,
that guy.
Yeah, let me look at this up.
That guy is definitely older than her. She was like my age, was she not? Yeah, she was 37 and Heroes was in 2006. So she had to have only been like 17 at that time.
Okay, she was 18 and he was 18. That's still like,
it's a kid.
And he was 30. That's like such a
That's like Jerry Seinfeld. Well, yeah, I don't know. Or Monica Lewinsky. We've always talked about how power dynamics and age. Can you talk a little bit before you go into further into Hayden's thing? Can you just talk about how danger it is like if somebody has like a OP against their abusive ex or whatever, letting them back into your life, like statistically speaking, how dangerous that is? And like, not just, isn't it like almost always the highest cause of like unalivings? It's from like an abusive partner.
Yes, I want to get the data right, so let me pull it up. But I do know that on average, it takes a woman 7 times to leave her abuser. It's not easy. Once they put their hands around your neck, the odds of being killed by them is way higher. I don't know if that happened. I let me look into the Hayden Panettiere domestic violence.
So
okay, so No, it's just like really fucking sad.
Oh, I forgot.
He
My
was
brother was
arrested. Sorry, go ahead. What?
my brother was friends with Amanda Bynes' cousin. She's another one who.
Yeah, Amanda Bynes, another one. He was arrested numerous times on charges including domestic violence between 2019 and 2020. She issued a statement following the 2020 arrest on 8 domestic violence charges. I'm coming forward with the truth about what happened to me in the hope that my story will empower others in abusive relationships to get the help they need and deserve. I'm prepared to do my part to make sure this man never hurts anyone again. In 2021, he pleaded no contest to 2 felony counts of injuring a partner related to his 2020 arrest and was sentenced to 45 days in jail, 4 years of probation, 52 domestic violence classes, and 500 in restitution, and a 5-year protective order. He spent 13 days in jail. The other charges were dropped, and the 2019 case was dismissed. 2 years later, she spoke about the statement to people. I still feel the same way. None of it is okay, but I want to make sure everybody knows that each person who goes through something like that, they're on their own journey. No things are exactly alike. She shared that they had reconnected as friends. None of it is okay, and I want to make sure everyone knows that, but I'm open to people who are willing to help, who to get help and make amends. He's gone to treatment and he's done his time, and I'm trying to live in a place of forgiveness. I'm trying to live in a place of understanding, and I think he's done his time and was willing to get help. I think about the things I've done in my life that people forgave me for. Making amends is a really important thing that you learned in treatment, and it gives you a lot of inner peace. That's so fucking sad.
Yeah, it's really sad. Jeez. So, oh man, that's a. Ugh. It's so hard for these people too. Like even like the ones who like. Ugh.
Well, just think about. I mean, she grew up being abused by Hollywood. Her baseline of what she accepts to be treated, how she accepts to be treated. I mean, yeah, it's hard. It's really sad. It's just like, again, another failure of like the way we failed children.
Yep. There's like, I think that people don't understand too that when you're on a set, like, nobody's job is to make you feel comfortable. I did a TV show in December and I was basically stark naked. I had like they call it a courtesy robe, like a modesty robe that they give you between takes, but you're in front of 100 people. In this case, I was in front of 100 people, and everybody has a job. Every one of those 100 people has a job, and not a single one of them is there to make sure that I don't feel self-conscious about having my junk out in front of 100 people. And a lot of people are very sensitive. Like a couple of the actors came up to me and said, "Hey, you doing all right?" Blah, blah, blah. Like a lot of there's like somebody who's assigned to you, because that's all like union protections. Like you have to have a robe between takes, but like emotionally, there's a lot of space there. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of space for your thoughts to get involved, and there's a lot of space for people to say something mean to you that sticks with you for the rest of your life. So imagine being a child. And everybody here, I'm sure, has had a difficult childhood, because being a child is not easy. But then imagine being a child, and then imagine having to work 14-hour days. But like you can't work 14 hours because you have to spend enough time with the studio teacher who the movie hires, so that you can. There's like a law that says that like if you're a child on set, you can only work a certain amount of time. That's why there's a lot of twins that work in Hollywood, because you can only have one actor for 6 hours. So you hire twins so they can both work 12 hours a day. So you have one twin on for 6 hours, and then you have the other one on for 6 hours. Right. So, because there's laws around that, but imagine the amount of pressure that you have as a kid. You're on a set with 100 people who are all waiting to go home, assuming that you get something right. Right. You can't flub your line as a 6-year-old if you only have 6 hours on a set and everybody's waiting to get home at 1 a.m. Imagine the tremendous amount of pressure you're under, and then add that to the fact that there are people that are literally just watching the clock all day who are critiquing your performance. Like that's just her work environment. That's not to mention whatever was happening at home and all the pressure she had to book jobs and all that other stuff with her parents and whatever that relationship was like. Like, just thinking about all of this makes me feel stressed out. But imagine having to live like that for 30 years.
No, I'm like reading about Shirley Temple right now, like getting a quick refresher, and like just this is no, like for an adult, this would not be okay. And as a mom, like I have two little kid, and I'm just like, who the fuck let this happen? How are people so awful? Okay, so Shirley Temple, let me just share my screen on this one. This is so fucked up. Okay. Sharing screen. Share screen. Okay. Whoopsies. Okay, there we go.
No, sorry. I should just let you drive. There we go.
There you go. Sorry. Okay. Okay. So in War Babies from 1932, 3-year-old Temple gets her first speaking role as an exotic dancer in a bar for soldiers where she wiggles around in an off-the-shoulder number ogled by shirtless toddlers playing army men. Two give her lollipops, so she's cheating on one of them with another. They both call her baby. She gets her first on-screen kiss before she's 5. There's also politics in Washington, which 4-year-old Shirley Temple seems to play some kind of prostitute to a senator, also played by a preschooler. Still no shirts for the boys.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh.
She walks in and greets the senator draped in pearls, saying she's been sent to entertain him.
Oh my God.
No.
How can anybody romanticize these time periods?
I know. No, it's actually so disgusting. It's like you want to talk about Jeffrey Epstein. You want to talk about like this has been so normalized. This is so horrible.
God, that's gross, dude. And there are so many Republicans who are, and I know this from firsthand experience, that are like, oh, that was when pictures were pictures. That was when movies were movies. Remember Shirley Temple and Judy Garland? Now what do you idiots have? Hassan Piker, Kai Cenat. It's like, it's like the same people who complain about college football players making money. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, you mean the ones that are putting their bodies on the line and are being licensed for millions and millions of billions of dollars for video games and everything else? You think that they should work for free? Yeah, go fuck yourselves. The fact that they were making that kind of content, like those kind of films with a child, is beyond the pale. It's disgusting. And
no, it's so disgusting.
How many movies did she make?
There's so many.
There's this. So back in the day, they used to have. Well, first of all, Hollywood wasn't Hollywood. It started out in Pittsburgh, but then they realized that they moved it out to California. But back in the day, they had this thing called the studio system, which basically what would happen is if you were an actor, you would sign a contract with a studio, and then you would be responsible for making a certain amount of movies every year with that studio. And each studio had a roster. And this was an incredibly exploitative system. It was kind of like pro sports, but like on steroids. Well, that's a bad example, but it was like pro sports, but like hyper exploitative, because there was like less competition in terms of like who could compete with a certain actor, because their performance is so singular that people were making, like, if Shirley Temple probably made 100 movies before the age of 10. I mean, how many movies did she make?
Let me look. How many movies Shirley Temple? 32 over the course of 15 years. 43 feature-length films and shorts combined, featuring 29 films as a child star and 14 in her teenage and adult years.
So, yeah, and it takes about let me see here. Yeah, they're like ripping these out. So yeah, no, she's an actress. She's appeared 60 times. She's got 60 credits on IMDb. She was born in 1928. So basically, she turned 1936 is when she turned. Oh no, wait, 1928. So she 1946. So yeah, she's making basically in the most. See, in 1933 alone, she made, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 movies.
Jesus.
So imagine working. Hey, what's up, Vampy Kato? Thanks for saying hello in the chat. So she made 11 movies in 1933 alone, which if you assume that they're ripping these things out, you know, she's probably making she probably was working on 2 movies at a time because, you know, it could take you 30, it could take you as much as like 90 days to make a movie, depending on what you're shooting. These were all built on stages. So it was kind of plug and play. Like, so, you know, you could be run over to the lot and do another thing. They weren't really shooting on locations back then. And she did not. Smooth Bandit, thanks for coming back. She did not see a dime of that as an adult. That was one of the things that the Screen Actors Guild helped negotiate, was the residual system, something that content creators know nothing about. But and actually, they're basically just skipping a bunch of stuff. Oh, here we go. Cruel working conditions on set.
So, to threaten and punish uncooperative child actors, the director, Charles Lamont, kept a soundproof black box 6 feet on each side containing a block of ice. An offending child was locked within this dark, cramped interior and either stood uncomfortably on the cold, humid air or had to sit on the ice. Those who told their parents about this torture were threatened with further punishment. Shirley Temple tried to tell her mother about these frightening circumstances, only to be met with dismissal and an accusation that she had fabricated the entire tale.
Yeah, I don't think people understand either that, like, there's like 50 kids waiting to take your place. So like you don't really have the like if you speak up, they're just going to say get out. It's Charles Lamont. We'll hire some other kid.
Yeah. In a Tarzan film spoof, Kid in Africa, for example, he concealed a tripwire to fell the savages, played by African-American children. In filming another scene, a terrified ostrich pulling Shirley and another child in a surrey careened wildly about the set before crashing into a wall. He would tell the kids, this isn't playtime, kids, it's work.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. It's also pretty crazy because there's not really, it's kind of crazy because you're not really hiring a kid to be an actor. You're just kind of hiring them to be a kid. So you should treat like, yeah, no, that's beyond messed up. So you basically consider your play work, right? So like, and your play is being judged constantly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, but this is even more insidious because it sounds like they were hiring kids to pretend to be adults.
Yeah.
So there was like there was like a Guantanamo Bay type like torture box thing.
Yeah, it was soundproof, 6x6, dark, with a block of ice in it. So they had to sit on the ice or like stay in the cold.
Oh, what did what how did it what else is there? Go back to that article. I didn't know about any of this.
That was the end of it. That was the end of it. Let me find more. Shirley Temple.
So those of you just joining us, we're talking about child actors, performers, just kind of like the psychology of what goes into it and the history of what's happened and kind of yeah, it's very lonely. Just kind of thinking about it through their eyes. Hollywood's always been a pretty toxic place though. We're talking about the studio system, which was brutal. A lot of your parents' favorite movies that they think idealize America were made during the studio system, and they were made on the backs of artists that were being exploited. Much in the same way, the everything else in America at that time was exploiting somebody for their labor. What do we got?
The overt sexualization of Hollywood's youngest starlet began the very first moment she appeared on camera. Her first ever credited role was for the Baby Burlesques film, War Babies, where she was a prostitute named Charmaine at the age of 3 years old. In Bright Eyes, she sang the song on the good ship Lollipop in an uncomfortably short baby doll dress, being carried, held, and touched by an ensemble of a dozen grown men. In the 1936 film Poor Little Rich Girl, she also has plenty of scenes being fondled by grown men. The entire film as a whole is primarily an example of early Hollywood pedophilia and how normalized it was in the industry. Creeps from all over the globe could fulfill their sick, twisted fantasies in the comfort of a movie theater. When these movies came to home media, the problem became worse and more easily hidden. The exploitation of Shirley Temple might have been horrific on scene, but things were much worse behind the scenes. During the production of many of her films, Temple and her fellow child stars endured abundance of both physical and sexual abuse. In her 1988 book, Child Star, an autobiography, Temple described the Baby Burlesque series as a cynical exploitation of our childish innocence. She also explained that if any of the preschool-age children misbehaved, they were locked in a windowless booth called the punishment box, forced to sit on a solid block of ice for extended periods of time. She was sent several times, but claimed it did no lasting damage to her psyche. Doubt it. She described production as having very strong present time is money attitude. This led to her being forced to work while injured on multiple occasions, one time working a single day after a serious eardrum operation. In 1940, at the age of 12, she had a meeting with Metro Goldwyn with MGM producer Arthur Freed, where he exposed himself to her. Jesus. After seeing her nervously giggle, he threw her out of the office. This deplorable man would go on to produce Singin' in the Rain, Wizard of Oz, An American in Paris, and Annie Get Your Gun. Being a known, bold pedophile did little to lessen your reputation or personal success in Hollywood. Years later, at the age of 17, she was made a victim again when producer David O. Selznick of Selznick International Pictures attempted to assault her, essay her. She was fortunately able to escape this ordeal unscathed, but it was not the last time she'd have to deal with the pigs of Hollywood. Look at her, like everything, like there's always men on her.
It's now, what if I told you that the Hollywood Reporter just wrote an article called Bring Back the Hollywood Asshole, where they celebrated people like this?
You want to pull it up?
After decades of pitching Hollywood executives, a veteran director delivers his verdict on the industry in his debut column for THR. The quarter zips have taken over, the suits have lost their nerve, and the business desperately needs its monsters back. Go fuck yourself, dude.
Mm-hmm.
These were the giants who kept Hollywood's profitable. Weirdos, maybe, lunatics often, but giants. And they would never have been caught dead in their offices wearing Patagonia vests. This was published 2 weeks ago. The patriarchy is not going anywhere. It is the boomers are doing their best to keep it alive, but this is obscene. This is the kind of shit that they want this time back.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
In the old days, the last minute intel I received before these meetings with studios and executives were insane. She loves strong female protagonists. Also, she adopted an Asian girl because they stay skinny. He used to drive a cab. He's weird. May have killed a man. Good luck. Like, this is the kind of shit. Oh, this is Robert Evans, the guy who produced The Godfather. These men were monsters. These men were magnificent. They understood that the suit was not vanity. The suit was the point. Armor, uniform, and threat, all at once. It made artists fear you, which is useful because artists are children with tax problems. Like, how do you square that circle knowing what we just read for our thing? What was it? What were we using? This one? Yeah, there we go. How can you square that circle and write that article knowing what happened? There's a scene in The Godfather that often gets cut. Have you seen The Godfather?
It's been a long time.
I'm doing the thing from Barbie movie. I'm a straight white guy explaining The Godfather. But there is a scene in The Godfather that always gets cut, but it is there's a movie producer in The Godfather who The Godfather has to get out of a contract, and so they put the horse's head in his bed. And but this particular scene, there's a scene before the horse's head thing where there's a child star who's basically pimped out to this producer by her mother, and you see her going into his bedroom upstairs, and then you also see her with him crying, and it's really gross, and they never show it on the networks, but I have a feeling it's based off that Selznick guy, because it sounds like there were a lot of overlaps. Um, but so yeah, Shirley Temple, she's basically exploited her entire career. There's obviously numerous stories about this, but there's also millions of other undiscovered or people that weren't recognized or weren't famous that were also exploited in the Hollywood system. Um, and it's kind of like politics and sports. It's like when you have people that are really passionate about something and have dedicated their lives to a very, very uncertain future, the worst kind of people are willing to exploit that and use their vulnerability and their talents and their passion to basically take what they think they deserve, which is often criminal and disgusting. And it's part of the reason why the Me Too movement was so important, because Harvey Weinstein basically continued in this tradition of the Hollywood monster. And did Judy Garland, she retired like relatively early, right?
I think so. I just pulled up an
Or
article
Shirley
about her.
I keep confusing Shirley Temple.
Shirley Temple was like 21 when she retired.
I don't think anybody understands just how stressful it is to do 33 movies.
No, that's
40 feature films.
Okay, now we'll do Judy Garland, and then we can talk about like more recent examples. But we can do Judy Garland, and then you can talk about. Oh boy, let's just do this first, and then we'll see where it goes. But there are. Wrong one. Oh, let me just. Okay. Where am I showing yours? Oh, that's why. I'm so confused. What?
Oh. Hey, if you're in the chat, say hello. We have a very lively Twitch chat today. We love to see that. Let me remove my thing. Let me stop.
Okay.
Go. Yeah, now you're good. Now you should be good. Okay. What's up, Instagram? Say hello. Join us on Twitch. We have a website now. All you have to do is click our little website link, bros.
Okay, so Judy Garland was ordered to slim down in Wizard of Oz. They would deprive her of food. She was 16 years old. They told her, "You look like a hunchback. We love you, but you're so fat. You look like a monster." Another called her a fat little pig with pigtails. They would feed her diet pills to help her lose weight and sleeping pills to help her sleep. She also had to wear a corset on set that not only pulled in her stomach, but held down her breasts.
Can you define diet pills back in the 1930s?
I'm guessing it was like Adderall, barbiturates.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like a Requiem for a Dream shit.
She was sexually harassed. According to Gerald Clark's biography, Garland was repeatedly harassed by execs between the ages of 16 and 20 during her rise to fame. She was reportedly approached for sex many times and even allegedly groped. Clark writes that in classic Hollywood, sexual coercion of young actresses and even lower-level female staff was an open secret. Having sex with female help was regarded a perk of power, and few women escaped the demands of Mayer and his underlings. A munchkin almost drowned in a toilet. What? Jesus.
The Wizard of Oz was cursed.
Seriously cursed. But yeah, a lot of these kids were given a lot of drugs to be able to work these hours, to stay skinny, to go to sleep. And yeah, more recently, I mean, who else have we? I just feel like there have been so many Hollywood casualties.
Yeah, the thing that people don't, I don't, it's hard too because with it's hard being a child star too because like so many child stars, like we talk about burnout a lot on this show. Like if you're a child star, like you're not cast because of your talent. I mean, you're typically pretty talented, but like you have a very specific look. Like,
Mhm.
and like, so your parents have basically been driving you around to auditions, paying their money to get you to acting classes, to do all of this shit. I think Shirley Temple's mom spent like hours a day doing her curls before she was famous. So like the curls that like made her famous. So like there's a tremendous amount of sacrifice that goes into making this happen, whether it be selfish or selfless. But you know, then you have a clock that's ticking, right? So you basically are like a professional athlete at that point. You have to uh cash in before your body decides I'm not going to look like what I look like now for casting directors, right? And then yes, you're marketable, you're an investment to them, they want a return on their investment. That's exactly right, Chance. Uh so like the reason why the parents are complicit with all of this is because they stand to lose a lot if a kid takes a break or if a kid has a nervous breakdown or if a kid's not sleeping.
Well, these kids
So,
are paying for their homes, for their
right.
everything, everything.
And you know what the
Also, like,
crazy
sorry, go
you,
ahead.
you know what the crazy thing is that it's happening all over again with, well, we'll talk about creator stuff later, but keep going. Sorry.
Well, I
That
was also just thinking about how Drew Barrymore was given alcohol for the first time at a Studio 54 party when she was 9, right? Um, she was smoking weed regularly by 10 and addicted to cocaine by 12. And then Hollywood producers blacklisted her for her drug use at age 12 as if it is her fucking fault. You think a
right.
12-year-old wants to be addicted to cocaine? Do you think a 9-year-old is a baby? Like she was it's so fucking sad. Um
No, and it's like it's all of this shit is happening while, you know, Roman Polanski is essaying a 12-year-old girl at his pool
mhm.
party while like famous actors are saying like, "Oh, he's a good guy." Like I'm going to like there were people that worked for Roman Polanski 30, 40 years after he fled the country because there were credible allegations of essay and he was going to be prosecuted. Like if you ever look at a Roman Polanski movie, like there's a Johnny Depp Roman Polanski movie, uh it's supposed to take place in New York. It was filmed on like some backlot in Europe because he knew that if he came back to the United States, he would be extradited. He would be tried and go to jail. Like, but there were actors
Mhm.
that were still willing to work with him because they're like, oh, he was a genius. Uh, like it's gross. It's
Mhm.
gross, and it's really only that's why like people are like, oh, the Me Too movement is cancel cult. Not like no, it's deeply necessary and it needs to last another 100 years if we're gonna catch up. It's just like what we were talking about yesterday. It's like if you want to
Mhm.
undo some of this, the damage and pain that's been caused by this gross abuse of power, like we're just getting started.
Mhm. I know. Yeah, I also just remembered Brooke Shields. She was in Playboy nude when she was 10 years old. 10 years old doing a nude shoot in Playboy. Like
Wait,
and then
seriously?
yeah, at 11 she played a child prostitute in Pretty Baby. She was literally brought out on an actual platter and auctioned off to the highest bidder. She also had an on-screen kiss with Keith Carradine, who was 16 years her senior. She was 11, reminding you. At 15, she was nude in Blue Lagoon, where filmmakers wanted to sell her actual sexual awakening, even though she had not ever had sex before. Um, at 15, she was in an infamous Calvin Klein ad where she says, "You know what comes between me and my Calvins? Nothing," which was a sexually loaded line for a minor, also approved by her mother. Um,
You know who Keith Carradine is, right?
No, who?
He ended up dying in Thailand of autoerotic asphyxiation.
Mm.
Um, God, that's like Brooke Shields is like the 80s.
Uh-huh.
Ugh.
This is
That's the
it's
thing.
so fucked up.
It's crazy. Like the thing is that like, and this is the thing, like none of this shit ever stopped. It just became like, for
They just
instance,
find a
like,
way to work around the laws.
well, that's like when I was working on a set in 2015, like there's always like a scandal that happens and then something happens in the industry that like changes something. Like so for instance, like in 2016 the big thing to do was they called them prep camera test days. So basically you couldn't hire a full crew because there wasn't a budget for it, but you could say that it was like a camera test and then you could like go out with like a skeleton crew and then like go shoot something. And so like in 2015, 2016, there was this sketchy producer who basically said, yeah, we're going to do a camera test day on the Dwayne Allman biopic. So he brought this whole entire crew onto train tracks. They didn't shut down the train. They didn't tell the train company that they were shooting, and a train came and killed a bunch of people. So then, like, from then on, if you were on a set, like you were a PA, you had to lock up the train tracks. You had to call the company. But it was like they're always looking for a day. They're always looking for a way to save money, to
Mm-hmm.
squeeze $1 out of two. And because somebody's always getting yelled at. Somebody's always getting yelled at if they're spending too much money or if they're taking too much time. Now, take that pressure and apply it to a child. Because again, it's not like a team sport where it is a team sport, but there's one member of the team that is who's right here. Like this is your entire life right here. Is this frame. And so you have to say it just right. And if you don't say it just right the way the director wants, cut, you got to do it again. And there's like famous directors who people had like Hollywood monsters like Stanley Kubrick, who Shelley Duvall was not a child actress when she worked with Stanley Kubrick on The Shining, but he made her shoot 40 or 50 takes of her going up and down the stairs in The Shining with that baseball bat with Jack Nicholson. And she had a nervous breakdown after shooting that movie because he was so domineering and there were no protections for her. And this is when the Screen Actors Guild was a thing, but like you couldn't say anything because it was Stanley Kubrick. That's what they thought. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and what are you going to do? That could be your big break. Like you're literally living in a studio apartment in Santa Monica and then you get a call from Stanley Kubrick saying, "Oh, hey, you're the star of this movie." What are you going to do? Complain about doing 50 takes and having a nervous breakdown? Or are you just going to do it and hope that you get over it? But now imagine apply that to a child and then have your parent, who's the person who's supposed to be protecting you, saying, "Oh, hey, get over it. This is your big break." Talk about a betrayal trauma.
Yeah.
Man, it's brutal.
It's awful. It is awful. I was thinking maybe we watch some interviews with more recent child stars talking about their experiences.
Yeah, because there's what's her name? McCurdy?
Jeanette McCurdy. Yeah. Did you read her book? It was really good.
I did not. I heard it was good though.
I'll start with Hayden Panettiere.
I watched Remember the Titans, some clips today.
Poor little girl. Ugh. Okay.
It's really sad. Hey, what's up, Taco Attack Turtle? Taco the Attack Turtle. Thanks for joining the community.
Okay, I'm looking for the part where she talks about.
I'm designing my first tattoo, by the way.
Are you? Do you have no tattoos?
I have none. I'm gonna get one soon.
Okay, I'm gonna.
You know anybody in Chicago with good?
Yeah, I've been following. I always want to get a tattoo. Let's go get them.
Let's go get one. Yeah. Get separate ones, but do it together.
I'm
kind of scared.
Oh, dude, it's so fun. I have like 20.
Oh yeah, that's right. You have so many.
Yeah, I have
Oh, I
tons.
totally need to get a tattoo then with you. That would be fun.
Okay. We can just watch the intro where she talks about her childhood.
I worked so hard to create this incredible life and career, and I burnt it all to the ground. Don't believe what you see in a picture. There's so much more going on. So much more. For the first time, I was able to put into words
news that we've seen. I wanted to start off by asking you, what's a childhood memory that you have that you feel defines who you are today?
God, got a laundry list I can think of off the top of my head, but really defines who I am. I think I've been really impacted by the people that I've gotten to work with, and especially when I was at very sensitive ages. Like when I think back to Remember the Titans, as you said, at 10 years old, that experience, that whole experience, everyone on set, and playing that character of Cheryl that felt so similar to who I was naturally as a person. I felt like that really shaped me, really shaped my perspective of the industry, made me feel like now I know what kind of actor I want to be. I want to be generous and I want to be there for people, but this can also be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to read from your book, if that's all right.
Yeah, of course.
You say in the book that from a very young age, I lost the chance to have a normal childhood, friends, relationships, and my privacy, because instead of fighting it, I leaned into the talent I was somehow blessed with. And I wanted to ask you, like, what do you think a normal childhood looked like? And how was yours different from that?
Well, to me, a normal childhood looked like extracurricular activities. It looked like going to school, being in school all day long, having a social life and connection with your peers, going home, doing homework, having play dates, having friends over, having those kind of experiences. And even though I did get some of that, because I had to live that life and had to be removed from it all the time, whether it was to go to auditions or to go to work, I constantly was missing out on the social aspect of what was going on with I was trying to be friends with them, but when you miss out, and then you sit down, you really have nothing to talk about, because I only had my experience and what I did yesterday, which was I was on set or I was in the city doing an audition, and that wasn't something that I could expect anyone around me to understand. So I feel like I got a taste of what a normal childhood would be. And I was on swim team, and I did do gymnastics, and occasionally I got invited to a birthday party, but a lot of the times I was left out. So it didn't feel like I had a normal childhood, normal upbringing. But to me, it was just being able to be a kid.
Yeah. Did you recognize that then?
I did. I remember school was very tricky for me, because here I was trying to fit into two different worlds, and I was dealing with this massive world, which is the industry, and dealing with big emotions, like what you feel after rejection or not getting a role, or a ridiculous amount of praise, an unhealthy amount of praise that you get at too young of an age. And then I had the world that I was desperately trying to fit into as well, that I was supposed to fit into, that it should have been easy to fit into, and I couldn't fit into that either. So I was like, where do I belong?
Yeah, it's hard when you're caught between two different worlds and you somehow, as a very young child, have to somehow make it look seamless and move through these worlds with...
Can you pause it real quick? There's like a crazy thing that happens that most people don't know about, but like you whenever you film something, like they tell you basically your job ends as soon as like your scene is over on the day, but then like you won't know for like 6 months if your scene made it. So there were times when we had like young people work on our show, and like one of the things as an actor that you like kind of cherish if you book a part is like, oh, this is going to look really good for my reel. And like people's parents would call and say, hey, like, can I get this footage for the reel or whatever? And like, and they would be like, I really hope she made the cut. Like, can you tell me if she made the cut or not? Or like, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I can't tell you because like I can get in trouble. But like, you don't even know if you made the cut. Like, you don't, after you book the job, you don't even know if you're in the show. So like, then having to go to school and telling everybody I did this job, and then imagine not showing up in something that you've told everybody as a kid so that you fit in, and then you don't show up in the thing. They're like, oh, she lied. Like, do you think that kids liked her more because she got to hang out with Denzel Washington all the time, or do you think that made her more difficult to relate to? I'm gonna go with kids probably weren't like.
Oh, she talks about that. I'm pretty sure she talks about that in this interview where like her teachers were mean to her.
Yeah.
She just like nobody would like her. They felt like it's really, really sad. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna put out. Oh, I'm on the Party Crashers one, and you get ads.
2-minute warning.
I got premium on that. What?
Sunday on the line here, Joe.
It's okay.
Incredibly uncomfortable for me. Where I was, on one hand, I was still a kid, and I was listening to my parents, and had to do everything that they told me I could and could not do. But at the same time, I was working hard, making money, and this money was going towards things that I wasn't privy to. So as my dad would kick my butt if I made people think that I like supported the whole family. But then when I got older too, and my mom bought an apartment for me when I was 16, and my whole family lived in it. So again, it was just that very strange, uncomfortable feeling of the role reversal, and desperately wanting to still feel like the kid, and still feel like I had parents to lean on. I didn't want. Even when I was a kid, I was scared of the dark, and I would make my dad lay down next to me, and if his head ever went below mine, I would freak out and make him sit up further so I could, because I wanted to feel like the kid. That is kind of continued on in my life, just wanting to know that if I found myself in a terrible position, that I could call somebody to help me. I could rely on somebody. I wasn't the only person. I wasn't the person that everybody else was relying on, and therefore nobody was there for me.
Yeah, I mean, and so natural, right? To want that and to seek that is so.
That's so fucking incredibly sad. And I can imagine that is a common experience for child stars, because who is protecting them when they are the ones who are the breadwinners? They're responsible for everyone's secure. Like, that's just like not a place for children. It's so, so sad. Okay, I don't want to stay on this too long. Which direction do you want to go from here? Do you want to talk a little bit more about Hollywood, or do you want to switch to talking about social media and kids?
I think we should talk about Hollywood a little bit longer, because there's like, I think that there's something here that about, and I think it'll lead us perfectly to the creator part, because I think that there's like the stage parent thing that is kind of unexplored in all of this. And like, I think that because of the creator thing that's going on, and we see like momfluencers, and like I think that the stage mom is becoming more studied in terms of like the psychology behind it. But like with these actresses and actors that were like kids, like
guess what?
The parents kind of like got away with it for a really long time because they weren't on camera. Can you put a little like Jeanette McCurdy on just to tee this
up? The Minimalists are going on tour with a live version of the Minimalists podcast, and I want to invite you to join us for a night of less. Find your nearest city.
I think this is true. You have people who are really rooting for you. They want you to succeed. They want to watch whatever you're doing next. But there are also other people who it seems like no matter what you do, you can never do right in their eyes. Why do we think that is?
It's an interesting area because I think, like, I can speak, I guess, specifically to the kind of like child stardom, teenage stardom thing. Because I feel like that's what people are even more interested. Like, people are even more interested in seeing a former child star fail, right? Like, there's like Lindsay Lohan, Britney Spears, I mean, Macaulay Culkin, Justin Bieber, even there. It's like there's the idea of pulling down their narrative and making them into this crazy like person having a mental breakdown. I don't understand the fascination with it. I wish that wasn't the case. I think it perpetuates whoever's experiencing probably some real mental health struggles. It makes it worse for them. I wish that society didn't do that to people. It bothers me so much. God, it bothers me so much. I don't know what needs to change or how it can change. I was actually watching a documentary on Lindsay Lohan the other day, and a paparazzi dude was interviewed. He was like, somebody was following him, and he's like, I don't get why she doesn't like me. I don't get why she doesn't want to smile for the camera. Like, shouldn't she love this? I'm giving her attention. Shouldn't she love this? No, you're chasing her down. Like, you're following her. Why would she love it? It doesn't make any sense to me, you know?
Well, but I think it makes sense to him because that's what he wants. He wants someone he wants that level of attention, or at least let me rephrase that. That's what he thinks he wants.
Right.
Until he gets it. Now, Ryan and I have this weird sort of level of, we're not famous, but we are well known enough that occasionally people recognize us.
Oh, I get recognized all the time when I'm with Josh.
Well, that's what I want to ask you guys. I was curious how much people like, is it normal for people to shout out their windows? How often does this happen?
Yeah, I mean, it's 5-6 times a day maybe, but it's not enough where it's like, if I'm walking through a crowd, it's 1 out of 50 people maybe. Okay. And so like, it's not, but you never know who that 1 out of 50 people are, right? Yeah. And if it's 1 out of 50 people who say something, then it's what, another 4 or 5 who don't say something. But still, it's the vast majority have no idea who we are. And I'm completely contented with that. But there's a level, and it's sort of like grains of sand. Like, how many grains of sand make a beach, right? Like at some point, there's a level where it is a beach, but 1 grain of sand is not a beach. Like, what is the level of notoriety that makes a person famous? I don't know. But from a very young age, you had to deal with being recognized, and how did you deal with that early on?
It was not easy. I think some people are naturally just kind of good at fame, like maybe their personality type or history. I'm not sure what makes a person good at fame, but I felt incredibly anxious. Like there was a time, now it's completely manageable. It's not difficult at all. It doesn't feel like a hindrance on my life, but there was a time from probably 14 years old to 22 where I couldn't leave the house without paparazzi, without just hordes of people anywhere I went, any grocery store or, wherever. And I think it made life so difficult. I don't think young people should be allowed to be famous. Like, if there's somebody who could come in and say, no, they can't, they're not mentally capable of handling this, I think that should happen. Because it just, the thing with former child stars having breakdowns makes so much sense to me, because I think the world that you're thrust into kind of like puts you right in line to have a breakdown.
Yeah. Well, there's this thing, it's so abnormal to have people follow you around and want to capture the moment with you. But then at some point it becomes normal to you, even though it's still a very abnormal thing. And I think when it becomes normal,
it's crazy because the thing that we talk a lot about on this show is how, like, society's problems oftentimes come from like the idolizing of someone or something. Like, you put something on a pedestal and then you basically, it kind of like, I forgot who was saying that, like, Chuck Schumer is a brand now, right? Like, he's bigger than a guy, and I'm sure Chuck Schumer loves that, but can't think of anything less healthy for a developing mind. Like, becoming a brand when you're 8 years old. Like, there's those like interviews of Justin Bieber, like, he'll be like at an award show and he's like 14, and somebody's somebody he's presenting with is like trying to make out with him, and he's like, and like, it's one of those things where the dudes in the 90s were like, oh, that teacher's hot. She's dating a 13-year-old. I wouldn't complain. But like, dude, no, that's SA. Like, that's a crime. Like, it's gross and it's weird and it's illegal.
Our culture like sexualizes teenage boys and then wonders why they, become predatory, when like, it's just, okay, this is her talking about her mom, and I do think her relationship with her mom is really similar to other relationships with. So we can go into this, and then it'll help us segue into the next, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, I love.
Jeanette McCurdy, welcome to the Daily Show.
I feel so short. My feet aren't touching.
Oh, that's fine. As long as like you can swing them,
you can around.
Yeah, it's as long as you enjoy it.
Oh yeah.
I can lower the desk as well if you'd like.
This is good.
Okay, good. Okay, I can't actually do it. I'm glad you asked me to do it. Welcome to the show, and congratulations on writing a book that I think for many people is seen as not just something funny, not just a story that's interesting, but in many ways a cathartic exploration of how we see the relationships that we have with many of our parents, our caregivers, whoever it was in our world. Because you wrote a book entitled "I'm Glad My Mom Died."
Yeah.
And it is a massive hit. So 2 questions. 1, did you hate your mom? And 2, does everybody?
I thought she was vaping.
No, I definitely don't hate my mom. I think she was a really complicated and nuanced person, and I try to kind of articulate her to the best of my ability in all of her many shades and colors. To me, her humor is really, she could say things that were so wild and at times abusive, but she just had a certain cadence and a rhythm that was so humorous. So I tried to capture that, but I certainly didn't hate her. And I think that's why it was so important for me to write this book, because getting to the place where I was finally glad and relieved that she was dead, it took me so long to be able to accept that reality. And I also think that's something that people, I didn't hear anybody talking about. I didn't hear anybody saying, that the sort of honest reality of what their experience with their parent was, if they had a similar one. It feels like a thing that you can't say because society doesn't accept it. It's just, you have to keep moms on a pedestal, and we all have to have the same experience. And that just wasn't mine. So it felt even more important to express it in the book.
You go through your entire journey. Many people, in America and some parts of the world will remember you from iCarly. You were this massive child star, and on the camera, all smiles. You made people laugh. Everybody enjoyed what you were doing. As soon as you read through the book, you realize you were suffering, you were experiencing trauma. It was really abusive in how you were doing what you were doing. It feels like in many ways, you were living your mom's dream, and she was making you do this.
Yeah.
I would love to know how you did it. Like, did you have a switch? Did you compartmentalize? Because you talk about it in the book, but you could never tell. You could never tell on screen what you were going through.
No. So my mom always wanted to be an actress. Her dream was to be famous. And she would recount sort of these tales of how her parents wouldn't let her. She would camp out in front
Can you
of
pause it real quick?
Bring him like posters. Chris.
I think anybody who wants to be famous I think that unto itself, there's like 10 people watching us right now. I don't do comedy because I wanted to be famous. There were times when fame was attached to like making money and being recognized for being good at my job. But if you want to do something just for the fame of it, I can't think of, like, famous people are miserable too. So the fact that parents wanted to be famous and then they asked their kids to be famous so they can live out their dream, that is some fucked up shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like Kim Kardashian openly says all she wanted was to be famous. And, we saw her come up.
Chris or Kim?
Kim. She just wanted to be famous, and when people just want to be famous, there's nothing they're not willing to do to get it, including exploit their own children, like, Kris Jenner. And it is a weird concept to want to be famous. Like, I never intended to make content that would get me a following. I just felt like I needed to talk about things that needed to be talked about. I still feel uncomfortable when people recognize me, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to like let people down or disappoint them, or like I hate feeling like I'm being watched, or it's so wild. But then, like, for these kids, it's like it's like, if they grew up with this, what are they supposed to do? Just go become a teacher? Like, it's just
you just
they never got a choice.
Yeah, and then you just become known for the thing that you did when you were 12 for the rest of your life. And so then you're like, you begin to wonder, like, oh, is this person like me because they like me, or is it because they know that I was friends with iCarly, or is it because they know or think I have a ton of money from that or whatever? But like, yeah, it's weird. Actually, nobody really recognizes me from social media. I think it's because most of the time I play character, but people recognize you all the time when we're out. They're always like, oh, I love your content, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I always get secondhand anxious for people. Like, even when I was hanging out with like people who were on TV or whatever, like that are just my friends, like I always feel secondhand anxiety because I don't know. I would just, you're just like, I'm like, whenever I'm walking around in public, like something's usually wrong with me. My sock is inside out, my fly's unzipped. I just stepped in gum. So if like somebody just walked up to me, and every once in a while someone will be like, hey, you look like Patton Oswalt on Ozempic. Like, I'll just be like, ha. But I mean, like having people like, you're like vulnerable when you're walking around, like in normal.
Yeah.
Like, you feel
and
unseen.
Also, especially if I have my kids with me and I'm like a little worried, like I don't want my kids to be, I don't know. And also because like obviously I'm autistic, I'm not like the best at socializing with people I don't know. And so like I'm like I don't like when people, I love when people say hi to me, and I love when people like, but then I get self-conscious that I disappointed in my reaction to things, or like that I didn't carry on the conversation or whatever, and then I'm like, I need to not think about it. But it is just like, it isn't, I can't imagine having to deal with that like as a child, Okay, I'm gonna play this.
Tonight, who played Peter Brady in the Brady Bunch, she swore like, oh, they had a relationship. I think that was not true. Chris Knight, if you're watching, please let me know if my mom actually had a relationship with you. But so she was always fascinated with kind of Hollywood and the aura and the romance as she saw it. And so she put me in acting when I was 6 to kind of give, I think, in my eyes, it was to live vicariously through me and to fulfill her dream and what she had always wanted.
But it seems like she subjected you to a nightmare.
Yeah.
Because you were in a world where it's supposed to be fun. You're making kids television, and yet it seems pretty horrible. I also wonder if this is the relationship of many child stars, or do you know, was this isolated, or do you think this is a lot more normal than we'd like to admit?
I think it's way more common than anyone would care to admit. I know just from my experience of going into auditions countless times, I'd have like 103 fever. My mom would be having me chug Gatorade. I'd be walking in to like pretend to be a homeless child, which is just already so kind of messed up as it is. And there's this dozens of other girls lined up to also try and be this homeless child. And the moms are like eyeing each other and like, oh, I hope my daughter's better at being homeless than yours. And it's like, what is this world? It's so weird. But I am able to now kind of look back and see the humor in it. And I think it is a very absurd reality, but I do think there's a lot of inherent ironic humor there.
I think what you've done in the book is precisely that. You've looked back and you've seen the humor. You use the humor, because this book without the humor is a devastating tale of a young child who is put into a world. It really seems.
It would be so awful. Oh my God.
I don't know if it would be awful. I think it would be a lot harder for people to read. I think it would be painful, because it is still the real thing. I wouldn't even think of it as a pity grab, but the humor is a coping mechanism. It's a tool you processing your life through. There's a point in the book where I find myself reading the stories of your mom, understanding the complicated world that she existed in, but then wondering, like how you see her. Like, did you forgive her? Were you able to let it all go? Do you still hold some of those feelings? Like, what has your journey been?
Oh my God, what a big, good question. That's such a deep, like, this is what I spent 10 years in therapy to be able to now say on the Daily Show. That's so cool. That's really awesome. Well, I'm glad you initially, you're speaking kind of the humor, and I do think it's a great coping mechanism. And I try not to use it as a defense mechanism. I used it that way for a long time initially when I was first kind of trying to grapple with everything. And I think that led to really unfunny choices. And my sense of humor is just sort of overcompensatory and kind of flailing and obnoxious, to be honest. But I think finding humor in those really intense moments and that those tragedies can bring levity where it's necessary. I hope I've done that. With my mom, I haven't gotten to a place of forgiveness. And I was trying to get to a place of forgiveness for so long. In therapy, I would sort of plead almost with my therapist of like, why am I not able to get to this place? What's wrong with me that I'm not able to forgive my mom for this abuse? Why am I so terrible that I can't get to that place? And she eventually said, Jeanette, what if you just kind of dropped forgiveness and didn't make that your goal? Because that's you still trying to do your mom's work. That's exactly my reaction. To Aaron. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a journey that I think far too many people have been on. I think a lot of the success of the book has been that obviously it's well written, obviously it's fantastically told, but it is a very complicated topic. How do you address the lack of love or the lack of parenting that you were supposed to get from that figure? Because as you say, mom is supposed to be this god, this icon of everything. Yep. Dad in some ways as well, but not the same. And yet you're in a world where you're going, oh no, it's true. People be like, oh, mom and dad was okay, but mom is untouchable.
Or even with dads, you can be like, oh, my dad never showed up, and people are like, oh, mine neither. Right. And then it's totally normal. But I feel like with moms, it is very, very much there's this pedestal that they're on.
When you broach this topic, when you started thinking about it, were you worried that people would turn on you?
I felt even if they did, it was a message worth sharing. I really mean that.
Wow, I love that.
Thanks.
I really do. That's because that's a brave stance to take. Because a lot of people will be like, "How dare you talk about your mom like that?"
Yeah.
It's actually, it's so crazy how everything gets memeified, and there was a post I saw online where someone was trying to chastise everybody for talking about the Queen, you know, in like just going like, we're glad this monarchy is ending in some way. And someone was like, you think it's funny, try and replace the Queen with your mom and see how funny it is. And someone put a picture of your book up, and then it was like, I'm glad the Queen died.
That's actually really funny.
That's what the book is dealing with.
That is a pretty healthy person. It seems like she's actually... Nothing drives me crazy when remember when we were reading last week in Esquire that like Brad Pitt is like sober now or not sober anymore?
Yeah.
And like, and me and you were just basically looking at it like cynical comms people, and we're basically like, oh, he for sure had his publicist reached out to Esquire so that if any paparazzi saw him drinking, it would like get ahead of the story. Right? Because like,
well, he has a movie coming out, and now they're saying like he was suicidal when he was going through his hard breakup where he was a domestic abuser. Like, yeah, this is a PR.
Yeah, this is a PR thing. Yeah. So you're, yeah, no, but you can, that's what drives me nuts about like some, like, you know, you see some of these softball interviews. Trevor Noah, I like him too. He doesn't strike me as the type, but like that you can very tell that like there's an angle, but for her you can tell that this was actually a healing experience. And she's, you know, I mean, who am I to judge, but she seems sincere and like a pretty well-adjusted person. That and that's when art's good. It's when it's sincere, when you actually have something to share because you need to get it off your chest. You know, it's part of the reason why I love this program, Meg, because me and you the other day were like, we can't look at the headlines anymore. Like, let's talk about history. And now here we are talking and we're like refreshed again. But I feel like so many people, let's talk about content creators now, because like, this is something I don't know. Like I said, I'm very proud of the fact I'm in the Screen Actors Guild. I really like unions. It took me 10 years to join and get my card, but it was like the best moment professionally I've ever had, because I got cast in a show that I left 10 years before in order to get my Screen Actors Guild card. And as soon as I joined, we were on strike basically. And but you know, like I was familiar with all the protections of the unions and like the things you can and can't do and what they do to protect our likeness and our image so that AI can't steal it, and the different things that, like, there's child labor laws, there's stunt doubles, there's all sorts of things that you have to do on a union set that protects workers the same way you would if you were in a factory. But now we're starting to see kind of like the Shirley Temple era 2.0 with the with this momfluencer, parent influencer thing, right?
Yeah. So I was just trying to remember who. There's this one person I followed on TikTok a while ago, Mom Uncharted, and she specifically talks about children and social media. And this part, I don't want any short clips up because I'm going to talk about my own mom, and I don't like to publicly. But my mom was like an original mommy blogger. When I was, I don't know, probably in junior high, she started doing mommy blogging, and so she had to paint a picture of a perfect family, like, and we would go on vacations that were funded and I would come along, and I just remember feeling like all I was a puppet for content. Like, I had to smile, I had to look good, I had to look like I was having fun, but she would not get off her fucking phone. She would be posting content the whole time. And this was long before any social media is what it is now. It was just like for blog posts back then. I can't even imagine but I have a very specific memory of when I was doing college tours. We were flown to New York City to go to the Essence magazine party. It's like things that I got to go to New York Fashion Week. I got to cover New York Fashion Week. Buick gave us a car so that I could do my college tours. And it's like, those are great things that, like, if I complain about anything, I'm just an ungrateful little bitch. But I didn't want to do all of these, you know, like I didn't, and I didn't need to go to the fanciest restaurant. I just remember like looking at my mom crying at dinner. We were at like probably Nobu or something like that. But I remember looking at my mom and crying because she just like wouldn't get off of her phone. And she'd just like look up at me and be like, what are you possibly crying about now? Why are you so ungrateful? And it was like, because you're talking about how much fun you're having with me, and you haven't even talked to me one time. And so like, that is what I think of when I think of what these children must be going through. And I think for me, that's why like I kind of avoided doing anything on social media, because then, you know, when I was in college, Instagram did start to become a thing. And I started to have friends who like everything was for the gram. Like nobody was actually authentically doing things. They were doing things to be seen doing them. And and I think like now I keep that in mind. Like my kids should, like, I never want my kids to be the subject of my content. I never want my kids to feel like I am doing something inauthentically because I need to do it for content. Like we do, or anyone. I don't want anyone to feel like I'm just hanging out with them for content or that I'm using them in any way. But for kids to grow up like this, now we have these YouTube channels where these parents are making so much money by like just exploiting their children. Who is it? Ruby Frankie. Ruby Frankie was the one who her kids were being abused, and she was like forcing them to be filmed all day, every day. There's this one little girl, I can't remember the name of the account. I don't want to, but she has a TikTok account with millions and millions of followers that started by the time she was 18 months old. She had like 3 million followers. And her mom, while she's a toddler, was having her do like, she's always in a bikini. She's always like sucking on a popsicle, saying something like very like this Shirley Temple thing. And it's just like tons and tons of men in the comments like, oh, my sweet little girl. It's disgusting. And people would have tried to call her out. And she's like, I can't control who follows my daughter. And it's like, the psyche, like this girl, this poor little girl, like her, it's really disgusting. So it's like there's that whole thing, like parents who actually make money off of basically soft child porn. So there's so many levels, and these kids are not protected at all. I think Illinois is the only state that has any laws that kids who are like on social media and their parents are making money off of it, they have to have an account set aside for them, like a trust. But it is very, very, very disturbing.
That's so fucked up. That's so fucked up. I'm sorry that happened to you, but thank you for sharing that firsthand experience. Like, I think the thing with it's like different for, I think it's a more insidious in the social media time, because it's like you said, like it's everywhere and it's like lifestyle shit. And like one of the greatest things in my opinion about AI is the fact that like people are so sick and tired of bullshit, and they're so sick and tired of like the curated glitzy. Well, first of all, no one can afford it, right? Like no one can afford to go to like, you know, no one can afford a new car. No one can afford like, so that's one of the positive externalities of living in late stage capitalism. So like the Instagram lifestyle of our college years is just not, it's just not a thing anymore. But the fact that like parents are actively now, parents are basically the entire thing, right? Like it used to be for Shirley Temple, there was a producer, there was a director, there was the casting agent, and then there was the parent. But now the parent is all of those things. And they're all of those things all the time because they have a phone in their pocket and they have access to millions and millions of people, strangers. Yeah, I mean, obviously, you're a great mom. I mean, not obviously. I mean, like people wouldn't know, but I think you're a great mom. So,
thank you. Thank you. I think if anything gets anything out of this conversation, if you are following anybody whose account is based, even if they're the most lovely family, anybody whose account, their content is like their kids are, like the kids are the point of the account. I block those accounts. Like anyone who it's beyond just like their kid happens to be in a video, like whatever, but like if their kid is being filmed and having to like put on a smile, I block it because I'm like, they are not they don't understand what they're consenting to, putting their inside life out there for anyone to see, for people to recognize them, for AI making versions of their, you know, putting terrible, gross things. But I block anybody who comes up and their children are the main characters of their content. I can't do it.
It's a great rule of the internet that we need to subscribe to as a community. If there's any yeah, that's a good idea. The thing that gives me hope though is that a lot of the reason why we have a lot of labor laws in this country, child labor laws in general, is because of child labor. Unfortunately, child labor is now coming back in states like Arkansas and Iowa and red states where they want to make it easier for 14-year-olds to get paid too little to do too much. But, you know, a lot of labor laws in Hollywood centered around how people like Shirley Temple and Judy Garland were exploited. And, you know, there's a lot of protections now on sets where, again, they're always going to try and find ways to work around them. Oh, there's an echo.
Is there?
Yeah, okay, now, yeah, that's good. So, like, one of the things that you have to do now on a set is, like, you have to limit a kid's work to, you know, I think it's like 6 hours, and you have to hire a studio teacher, which is a job that they're a teacher that comes in and they have to teach school to the kid who's an actor. Like, they have to do their homework or whatever. Like, that's something, like, they come to the production office, they go to their trailers with the parent. The parent always has to be on set. There's a lot of protections that are obviously still relatively inadequate based on Jeanette McCurdy's experience, but it definitely wasn't as bad. It's definitely not as horrible as it was for Shirley Temple. And the unfortunate part about other people's pain is that it can protect other people, but it's always too little too late for the victims of the pain. But I'm hoping that with creator stuff, that because of a lot of the things that are happening, we can start to look at creators on the internet as labor, which is what we are. Like, we're just deeply underpaid. And like, there are people that are talking about that. Like, obviously there's the Screen Actors Guild's influencer agreement, but yeah, for those of you who want, like, most people hear unions in the United States and they think of the police unions, unfortunately, which I would argue isn't a union as much as it is like a giant, like, it's basically like the CIA. But yeah, I mean, if you want to look at the Screen Actors Guild, like the production, like if you look at, you know, I mean, the Screen Actors Guild was like the first union to strike because of AI. So like, I always tell people that if you want to see how unions work, look at the arts, because they're not working now because of streaming. Like, streaming has basically undermined the power of the union just by the very nature of how people are compensated. But yeah, I think that that's something that, just seeing how much, relatively speaking, compared to how Shirley Temple was treated, how much more structured things were 10 years ago when I was working on sets, and even now, I mean, and there are a lot of people that like, I've been in casting sessions and for commercials and movies and TV shows where there was, like, I was in a scene with a kid and the parent is like talking to the kid before, and like everybody introduces themselves, and like the parents like talking to the kid like very nicely and saying like, you're gonna do great. Like, there's a lot of like positive people that have, because like people like Jeanette McCurdy and you and other people who have experienced this have shared their story. Now they're raising kids. Like, I'm starting to see, like, just in individual interactions, the cycle being broken, you know? Like, people are beginning to put parenting first with all this shit, which is, you know, part of the reason why we started this. We wanted to put just being friends first and building a community first.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, just not having to put on a show for anybody, like, just being people who care about people, so that hopefully people can start caring about each other fucking in the public world too. We can wrap this up. I'm going to this is the account I was talking about. Ren Eleanor, a TikTok account with more than 17 million followers. Videos of an adorable little girl with pigtails who looks to be about 3, climbing on counters to get Girl Scout cookies, bursting water balloons, blah, blah, blah. There's been a movement driven by TikTok moms to call out potentially creepy people following the account and have accused Jacqueline of exploiting her child on social media. There's no evidence she is exploiting her. These concerns seem to be centered around the content posted of her taking a bath in a bathing suit, playing with a tampon. There's also a subreddit devoted to her with more than 13,000 subscribers. They tend to have commenters. Commenters have also pointed to the existence of fan accounts for Rin in searches such as Rin eating a corn dog, Rin's scandalous outfit. She's being sexualized by a contingent of her followers. No, I mean, I've seen some of the content, and it is so not even questionable. Like, she knows she gets a lot more when her daughter is in a bikini. She knows she gets a lot more when her daughter is eating a corn dog or licking a lollipop or saying like something like, put like squeeze it on my face, like weird shit. Like, her daughter should not be saying shit like that. I don't know how we make it not monetizable for people to put their fucking children on the internet, but like, it should not, like, we don't get monetized because we talk about politics, but people can monetize for exploiting their children. That is like actually so upsetting to me. Anyways,
how about we just make it illegal for kids under 18 to be on the internet, like, or to be like
making
like,
money on the internet?
No, yeah, or just be put
like,
on the internet by anybody over the age of 18. Like,
yeah, something like that, dude. It's so, I mean, I think in Germany that's the law, isn't it?
I don't know, but go Germany if that's the law.
German
that seems like a good law.
Children social media content. There is an interstate treaty on the protection of minors that governs content-related youth protection across Germany for video sharing services, advertising, and broadcast platforms. High default privacy settings for minors, bans targeted advertising based on profiling for child users. Yeah. Anyways, this is a sad one.
This is a sad one. Are you going to be back tomorrow?
I think tomorrow I need to take off.
Okay.
What are we doing tomorrow?
I don't know.
Do we have anyone on or anything?
No, we've been sleeping on it. We've been sleeping on our guests. Maybe I'll have Chris come on. Let me text him. I'm going to be on tomorrow. And I think I'm going to be talking about something historical with a guest. I'm going to try and get a guest on tomorrow to talk about something historical. We're going to be on tonight. We're starting our sports show with E-Money. Yeah, well, we're going to be gearing up for the football season. I don't know anything about football, but we have a very special contributor who's going to be joining too eventually. But for now, tune in tonight at 8:00. If you don't support us, do it. If you're on Twitch, you can. Yay, sports, LOL, Taco the Attack Turtle. Thank you so much. If you have Amazon Prime, you can actually boycott Amazon, which would be cool, and then take half of that money and gift 18 subs to your friends and then keep $90 and buy yourself a little treat. But if you choose to keep Amazon Prime for $180 a year, you can actually gift a Twitch sub to somebody. We gifted one to Chicago Bish because we have to create a vision of the world of reality that we believe in. But don't be shy about subscribing. Share this link with one of your friends and it would make a huge difference. We are small, but we are mighty.
Also, starting next Thursday, Andrew Herrera is going to be back weekly. We're going to be doing a weekly Chicago and Illinois progressive politics show. So if you are in Illinois, if you are in Chicago, and there is anything you've been interested in hearing us talk about, Andrew is like the expert on all things Illinois, Chicago history, politics. He is an organizer in Pilsen. He is a lobbyist, and he does a lot of legislation and policy work. So we are going to start getting into that next week. Would love to hear what people want to say. So feel free to like shoot a comment in one of our videos to let us know what you want us to talk about.
Oh, and join our Discord. This is kind of like we're like soft launching, strategically launching, basically a network. So,
Yeah,
right? I mean, is
we're
that
getting
kind of what we're
there.
doing?
Yeah, we're getting there slowly. It's going to be fun. Just stay tuned.
Yeah, it'll be fun. We'll talk to you guys later, and girls, and non-binary folks. Take it easy and stay frosty. Oh, and join our Discord. Thank you, Vampicato.
All right. Bye, friends.